present arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms.
All right, thank you. And I'd invite you all to please take your seats. So good morning. I'd like to thank you for joining us on this solemn day of remembrance and reflection. There are a number of public officials who I'd like to acknowledge who are here today, some of whom you will hear from in just a moment. But I'd like to recognize Assemblyman Harry Bronson, Assembly members Sarah Clark and Damon Meeks, our Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter, Mayor Malik Evans. From the Monroe County Legislature, we're joined by Majority Leader Michael Udelson, Dave Long, Rachel Barnhart, Rick Milne, Paul Dondorfer, Tom Sinclair, Tracy DeFlorio, Mark Johns, and Virginia McIntyre. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're also joined today by Dan Maloney, the President of Rochester Area Labor Federation and the UAW, Timothy Longbine from the IBEW Local 86, Eddie Santiago, former president of IAFF Local 1071, and I'd also like to add my thanks to the firefighters for supplying and arranging the truck and the flag arch to greet us here today. Tim Barbado, president of the Teamsters, Jeff Wader from the Rochester Police Locust Club, Laura Heltz, the executive director of the Veterans Outreach Center, the Monroe County Parks team. I want to thank you for your work that you've done to get us here this morning. And I'd also like to just acknowledge the many police chiefs, fire chiefs, EMS personnel, and all of the men and women from law enforcement, the police, and the emergency services who have joined us here today. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being here. So today we're coming together as a community to honor the lives of the victims, the heroes, and the survivors of the terrible attacks of September 11th, 2001 at the World Trade Center in New York City, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and aboard Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Without a doubt, the events of September 11th are ingrained in the memories of the Americans who are alive then. We can recall our exact location, who we were with, and what we were doing when those attacks happened. 24 years ago, I myself was at my desk in Washington, D.C., where I worked for our late Congress member, Louise Slaughter. I can still see the sights, I hear the sounds, I can even smell the smells in the air when we rushed and evacuated our building. And I can recall the Metro car that was filled with smoke as we passed under the Pentagon just hours after it was attacked. I remember vividly the fear of those around me, the shock when we realized what had happened. But what I also remember is the resilience of our nation in the days that followed, and how we came together to support one another when we came together as one America. In the year after 9/11, more people enlisted in the military than any year since. In the first full recruitment after the attacks, over 181,000 Americans joined the ranks of active duty service members, and 72,908 people enlisted in the reserves. People came forward to help in any way that they could. Hundreds of thousands of individuals lined up to give blood, and the Red Cross received nearly $1.1 billion in donations to fund massive relief and recovery efforts. Flags flew from nearly every home. People checked in on their family, on their neighbors. We were one, we were unified, we were Americans. But as we approach the 25th year mark since the September 11th attacks, we have to remember that there's an entire generation of Americans who were not alive on that fateful day. Approximately 30% of the U.S. population was born after September 11th, 2001. This generation doesn't share our memories of that day. They don't have that visceral recall of what it felt like in that time, or in the weeks and months that followed as Americans united in our response. And I want to think of that unity today, because I think that, far too often we're consumed by our differences. But my most vivid memory of that day was that no matter our politics, our religion, our wealth, where we're from, none of that really mattered, because we were all Americans. And we came together as a unified country. And I think that's a lesson that we still need to draw upon today. So although our young generation, my kids included, they're 14 and 16 years old, my kids don't share the memory that I have from that day. But what I can do and what I can draw upon in my conversations with them, and my responsibility as a father and as an American, is to ensure that my kids understand the selflessness and sacrifice that were exhibited by our first responders nearly 25 years ago. Today we're breaking ground on the 9/11 First Responders Memorial. This memorial honors the EMTs, the firefighters, law enforcement officials who ran straight into danger. Their only motivation to help others and to save lives, and in some cases, and in many cases, cost their own. For today's young people and future generations, 9/11 will not be a memory as it is for most of us who are here today. It will be history. And that's why this memorial is so important. It's not only a place to honor those that we've lost, it's a place to learn, to reflect, and to understand. Commemorating the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, former President Barack Obama said, "One thing that became clear on 9/11 and has been clear ever since is that America has always been home to heroes who run towards danger in order to do what's right." The enduring image of that day is not simply falling towers or smoldering wreckage. It's the firefighters that running up the stairs as others were running down. The first responders battling roaring fires and rising waters to bring families to safety. They represent what is best in America. This memorial will stand as a reminder of the sacrifices of our first responders on September 11th, 2001, and in the days, weeks, and months that followed. It will be a place where our community can gather to reflect and remember. And I hope that it will also spark conversations as families engage in discussions about their memories of 9/11 and about the choices that people make in times of duress to help their fellow man. That there is far more that we have in common as Americans than what divides us. And that our nation's strength and resilience is in unprecedented times. A reminder that America is strong because Americans are strong. This is the most important message that we can instill in our youth, a reminder that when times get tough, Americans take care of each other. The lasting legacy of September 11th, let the lasting legacy of September 11th be that from darkness there came light. We saw light in the acts of greatness from our first responders, our active duty military, and our veterans. Without regard to personal consequence, they put their lives on the line to help complete strangers because it was the right thing to do. And we saw light from smaller acts too, embracing our neighbors in pain, lending our phones, sharing meals, offering thanks to those who gave of themselves for the greater good. People from across the country, no matter their race, creed, orientation, or zip code, became beacons of hope. These memories can feel distant, but they don't have to. I hope that this memorial will inspire future generations as we honor the lasting legacy of the first responders on that day and by our armed forces in the days that followed. So again, I'd like to thank everyone who made this memorial possible. I want to thank Assemblymember Harry Bronson for securing New York State funding for for this project. Thank you, Assemblymember Bronson. I want to thank our local labor unions, organized labor, for your vision and your input on this important project, to include Dan Maloney, President of the Rochester Area Labor Federation, Ray Ryerson and Timothy Longbine from IBW Local 86, Eddie Santiago from IAFF Local 1071, Tim Barbado, President of the Teamsters, and Jeff Wader, President of the Rochester Police Locust Club. Thank all of you. And I'd also like to thank Pat Meredith, Bob Kiley, our entire Parks team for your work on this important project as well. Thank you and the team. You've done a remarkable job. Today's groundbreaking is not just shovels in this dirt pile beside me. It's a promise. Today's groundbreaking is a promise that Monroe County will never forget. It's a promise that we will always honor those who sacrifice, and a promise that we will pass on the lessons of 9/11 to future generations. We look forward to inviting you all back here next year for the 25th anniversary of the September 11th and for the unveiling of this beautiful memorial. You could see the renderings there. And I want to add, God bless all those that we lost on 9/11, our first responders and the men and women of the armed forces, and may God continue to grace us with the strength and resolve to live as one united America. And with that, I have a number of people that I'd like to invite up to offer some reflections on today. And I'd first like to start with Assemblymember Harry Bronson.
Thank you, Adam, for those reflective comments and for sharing your experience on 9/11, as many of us had very similar experiences. I want to thank County Executive Bello, his team, and Parks Department. Can we give them another round of applause for making this happen? Sheriff Baxter and Jeff Wader are here. I want to thank you and all the first responders for your dedication to our community and to our country. Thank you. And also to my brothers and sisters and siblings in labor who actually brought this project to me and asked for the funding. I want to thank the entire committee, which Adam Bello just mentioned, so thank you. So, yeah, I'm really proud to have secured funding for this memorial and for the partnership with Labor and County Executive Adam Bello. So we know we will not forget 9/11, and future generations will have the opportunity to learn and to understand what 9/11 truly means to each of us and to our country. This memorial will help us remember the souls we lost and their families, giving tribute to the selfless acts of these first responders who faced unimaginable danger and uncertainty. It is my hope this memorial will serve as a place of respite, reflection, and inspiration in their honor. 24 years ago today, the world watched in stunned horror as the Twin Towers crumpled before our very eyes, as the Pentagon was under attack and the final plane crashed in Pennsylvania. 9/11 was more than an act of terrorism. It was an attack on the foundation of our way of life, on our freedom, our liberty, and on our democracy. We remember the brave first responders who ran towards danger as others were running from danger. We remember the workers who lost their lives that day and in the days and years that followed due to toxic exposure in the wake of the attacks and through the cleanup process. We remember our brothers and sisters and siblings in organized labor, the first responders, but also others who were on the scene, all putting their lives and health on the line to rescue others. And we remember our military service, who risked their lives to protect our country. In the days and months following 9/11, humanity came before all else. And with this groundbreaking for the 9/11 First Responders Memorial, we are ensuring their bravery, their sacrifice, and selflessness will never be forgotten. Let us do justice to their memories by also recalling the collective spirit of America that emerged from the ashes and melted iron of the towers. Our country rallied together in a display of unity. Following 9/11, we as a people didn't see black, brown, or white, gay or straight, Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal. We saw one another as fellow humans, as fellow Americans. In many ways, we have forgotten. But what has been, in many ways, we have not forgotten that day. But what has been forgotten is the unity of the times and the pride we had following 9/11 as we became United People of America. Today, we have allowed divisiveness to take hold. We've disregarded our collective identity and instead have turned against each other. In doing so, we sacrifice our democracy and our belief in the principles of this great nation. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To truly honor those who we lost on 9/11, those involved in the cleanup, and those who put their lives on the line in the war on terror, we must once again find the unity we had in the wake of 9/11. Let us see each other's humanity. Let us find the American spirit that propelled us toward generosity, patience, and compassion for one another in difficult times, that allowed us to show goodwill to the many diverse families of this nation and those looking to join in its prosperity and goodness. Let us see the inherent dignity of every person. Let us seek common ground with our neighbor and those with whom we disagree, remembering always that there is much more that unites us than divides us. Let us once more find the humanity, solidarity, and empathy that we as a country are truly capable of. There is no greater act of democracy than standing shoulder to shoulder to uphold these freedoms and values for everyone, no matter who they are. Because if America is to truly learn from the tragedy of 9/11, we must once again turn to unity as our strength. Thank you all. Let's always remember, and God bless America.
Okay, I'd now like to come up to the podium, Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter.
I'm going to take a minute to just say a few words about how humbling it is to be up here to represent those that fell at 9/11. All the uniforms we see behind us, the firefighters, the EMTs, the police officers. What a humbling ability, because I got a title called sheriff, to represent all these heroes and these people. We've already heard testimony about what we do for a living. We don't know when, we don't know where, we don't know how many, we don't know the condition. All we know is we're going to move forward on the objective and save lives and protect the community, and that's what they do every day. So 9/11 is a great illustration of who we are and the DNA of these first responders you see, but it happens every day. And I'm so thankful, Harry Bronson, County Executive, getting the funding for this. This is the right thing to do. A memorial to recognize first responders here in our park, Gary Biker Park, is the right thing to do. And it's such an honor to be able to get up here and say a few words. But I just want to say thank you. I'm humbled to be up here to represent all you and everybody else that's working the streets right now as we speak. You know, we've heard the numbers. 2,977 lost that day. Of that, 72 police officers, 343 firefighters. I wish I could read the names of each one. They're not numbers. These are humans that ran towards and saved many lives. And we got to remember, as Assemblyman Bronson said, how many lost their life to cancer since then? In Albany, every year we add more names to our memorials, firefighters and police memorials, of people that are still falling to this day, 24 years later. And then there's another hidden secret that we often don't talk about. That's why this memorial is so important, is those that are losing their life to post-traumatic stress disorder because of this event too. This is a scar that will last forever, and I think it's just the right thing for us to do, to come together as a community. Let this day represent the totality of what we do in uniform service to our community every day. And I just want to thank all those people that I get to represent that are standing up there and sitting. You guys are true heroes. You guys and gals are true heroes, and we should show you the respect that this honor and this memorial is going to show you every day. God bless you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'd now like to invite up to the podium the Mayor of the City of Rochester, Malik Evans.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive, and thank you again, Assemblymember Bronson, for securing the funding for this important effort. It's not lost on me that almost 25 years ago, on that Tuesday, the weather was almost a carbon copy of what it is today here, at least in Rochester it was, as well as in New York City. I'd like to thank all of you for being here today, and we gather to remember the nearly 3,000 innocent people who never came home, and to extend our deepest gratitude to our first responders and veterans who answered the call on that tragic day and in the difficult days that followed. I am humbled to join you here alongside my partners in government to reflect and remember. 24 years ago, the attacks on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Flight 93 changed not only the skyline of our country, but also the lives of countless families and communities. Here in Rochester, we know that tragedy does not just touch one place. Some of our own neighbors lost loved ones that day. Many Rochesterians answered the call to serve, whether in the military, as first responders, or simply by showing up to care for their neighbors in a time of uncertainty. Today, we honor them as well. Their service reminds us that in moments of darkness, there are always people who step forward with courage and compassion. September 11th changed the way we live our daily lives. It reshaped our sense of safety and tested the spirit as a nation. But it also revealed what binds us together: the strength of community, the importance of service, and the unshakable belief that we are stronger when we stand as one. The spirit has always defined Rochester. Whether in times of hardship or in celebration, we lift one another up. We move forward together. For many young people, September 11th is something they know only from history class. It is our responsibility to pass down the lessons of that day. Not only the pain, but also the strength, the compassion, and the unity that emerged from it. We must ensure that the memory of that day continues to inspire new generations. As we remember September 11th, let us honor those we lost by living out the values that keep our community strong: compassion, empathy, service, and understanding. Let us continue to build bridges to stand with one another and never forget that we are all in this together. This memorial will help us punctuate compassion, empathy, service, and understanding. So I thank you again, Assemblyman Bronson, for securing the funding. But more importantly, I also thank our first responders for everything that you did on 9/11, but more importantly, everything that you will do to set an example for future generations. Thank you.
Okay, as was said before, today is also made possible by the men and women of organized labor who brought this memorial to all of us. And so I have a couple folks I'm going to invite up to offer some reflection as well. And I'd like to introduce Dan Maloney. He's the president of the Rochester Area Labor Federation and the United Auto Workers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. As was said, I'm Dan Maloney, president of the Rochester and Genesee Valley Area Labor Federation. I'm proud to be part of this long overdue project to honor the memory of 9/11 attack victims and those that gave their lives in an effort to save the lives of others during the terrorist attacks, September 11, 2001, and to honor the service of all first responders. Those renderings are beautiful, by the way, and they are meaningful. The folded flag given to next of kin to those fallen heroes is to be 9 foot at its apex. The tower's 11 foot tall. So that'll be a lasting memory, and those renditions are beautiful, so kudos to the engineering firm. So this memorial was designed in partnership between labor and government. Special thanks, and it's been said, but I'll repeat it. It's worth repeating. Special thanks to Tim Barbado, Teamsters 118 President, Ray Ryersey, IBEW 86 Business Manager, Eddie Santiago, Secretary Treasurer of the New York State Professional Firefighters Association. It's a new title. Congratulations, Eddie. So many thanks to County Executive Adam Bello and his staff. He did a great job of hiring. So especially Bob Kiley, who kept the site selection process and the bid process moving. So thank you, Bob. And this project obviously doesn't happen without the appropriate resources. Special thanks to the Dean of our state delegation, New York State Assembly member Harry Bronson and his staff for securing the funding, working with county government to ensure not only the money, but all the permits were approved, all the red tape was untangled. Special shout out to Jen Skoog for keeping the trains running on time. Thank you, Jen. And again, great hiring decision, Assemblymember Harry Bronson. All right, next year will be the 25th anniversary of the horrific and cowardly attack against unsuspecting American citizens on 9/11/2001. We are holding the groundbreaking ceremony today with the understanding that next year we'll be hosting an official ribbon cutting of the 9/11 First Responder Memorial on this site. This memorial will stand as a reminder of the innocent victims of the 9/11 attacks so that their memory may help future elected leaders stay ever vigilant against any future attacks on American soil. The memorial will serve to showcase and honor the incredible bravery and sacrifice of our first responders during times of chaos and violence. Nearly 3,000 Americans died from the depraved actions of the brainwashed killers that carried out the murderous destruction on 9/11. 2,753 died at the World Trade Center site, 184 at the Pentagon, 40 people on United Airlines Flight 93 that crashed in a field in Pennsylvania as the passengers fought back against the terrorist hijackers. Of the nearly 3,000 killed, I know the sheriff went through this, 412 were first responders, 343 firefighters, 72 law enforcement officers, 55 military personnel at the Pentagon. Many thousands of first responders were exposed to toxins at the crash sites, and they are now coming down with deadly cancers and respiratory illnesses. One article I read said the number of first responder deaths has surpassed the total number of lives lost during the 9/11 attacks. That is why this is so important, that we come together as a community and dedicate a memorial to remember both the innocent victims and to honor the sacrifice of all first responders, to remain vigilant and aware of the evil in this world, to support the work and keep us safe from harm that all first responders do. Get choked up thinking about it. May God bless and protect all first responders now and always. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite up the president of the International Association of Firefighters, Local 1071, Eddie Santiago.
Good morning, everyone. It is with a somber and heart yet hopeful outlook I share and join you today. 24 years ago, Americans were violently targeted and attacked by terrorist organizations. We lost 2,977 American lives at the World Trade Center site. Out of that number, 343 were FDNY firefighters, 71 law enforcement officers, and 8 paramedics. Our brave men and women heroically answered the call and made the ultimate sacrifice. We will never be able to repay or make amends sufficient to soften or erase what transpired. We would never forget, nor should we try. In fact, we remember each and every year. We come together to observe and honor. We are here today to pay our respects and unveil our long overdue tribute in their honor. I joined a dedicated team over 1 year ago, spearheaded by the dean of our delegation, the Honorable Assemblyman Harry Bronson, and County Executive Adam Bello, to construct a memorial fitting for the gravity and sacrifice made. Our team comprised of labor leaders from the United Auto Workers, Teamsters, the trades, and Adam Bello's administration. We worked tirelessly to establish a design and plan to bring this idea to fruition. As former leader of the Rochester Fire Department, IAFF Local 1071, and now the Secretary-Treasurer of the New York State Professional Firefighters Association, the health and safety of our 18,000 members, including professional firefighters in Monroe County, is my greatest priority, and I am humbled and honored to have been part of this effort on their behalf. We now have a home for not just Rochester to pay their respects, but for those across the county and the state to come together to grieve and honor our fallen. Thank you, everyone, and may God bless all first responders.
Thank you, Eddie. And before I bring our last speaker to the podium, a couple other acknowledgments that I'd like to make. First, I'd like to acknowledge that I should have welcomed you all to Gary Bykirk Memorial Park. And I'd like to thank Stephanie Bykirk for being here today, acknowledge the Bykirk family, and thank you for your family service and sacrifice. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the American Legion leadership and members who are here today as well. Thank you for being here. I am so proud. I want to tell you how much I love you, because you really do demonstrate what that continued service of the men and women who served in our armed forces, that just that continued lifelong mission of service really is about, and the example you set. So thank you. And then I'd also like to acknowledge the president of the Monroe County Legislature is here, Eversha Roman. So thank you, President Roman. And the supervisor of the town of Irondequoit is here as well, Andre Evans. Thank you, Supervisor Evans. So finally, we are very lucky here in our region to have such a strong, coordinated team working to help support our veterans, those families who sacrifice the most on behalf of our community. And it's really led by their executive director, Laura Heltz, at the Veterans Outreach Center. We are so lucky to have Laura and the team there in the Veterans Outreach Center fighting for our veterans each and every day, and I'd like to invite Laura up to the podium to offer some reflections.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate that. And of course, just like he said, I do feel really blessed to have such a coordinated effort here. And with Nick Stefanovic over at the County Veterans Service Agency, we're in contact regularly, making sure that we're kind of in concert with one another and supporting our veterans. So I just I want to echo what many of the others have said, and thank you all for joining with us today as we honor the events that took place on September 11th of 2001. You know, I probably like many of you in the morning before I get my day started, I check my social media, and I can't tell you how disappointing it was this morning. It was the first year in 24 years that I didn't see a single post come across my feed about 9/11. And I know there's a lot happening right now in our world and our communities, but that really, it spoke volumes to me, and I think that it's just another reason why it is so important for all of us to continue to gather and to memorialize those. Like so many of the speakers that have come before me and talked a little bit about their personal memories of 9/11, I just wanted to share mine very briefly. I was stationed at Fort Benning at the time, and I had actually just been promoted to the rank of Staff Sergeant E6. I was right in the middle of the first ever integrated basic non-commissioned officer course at Fort Benning. So when I say integrated, I mean it was the first time that our combat arms soldiers conducted this training with those of us who were in support roles. So I was in a class of about 200 soldiers, of which probably 180 or so were Rangers, airborne infantry, Bradley fighting vehicle operators, you name it, they were all in combat arms. And really all of the people who would immediately be called upon to respond to our nation's threats. Like so many service members, I just remember the confusion, the urgency, and above all, the profound sense of duty that swept through our ranks in the hours and the days that followed. I remember when the Rangers' cell phones started ringing in our class, and the instructors, you know, cell phones weren't really much of a thing in 2001, but the instructors instantly said, "Turn those things off," and they said, "We can't." And then, you know, moments later, somebody came in and spoke to the instructor at the front of the classroom, and they turned and looked at us and said, "America is under attack." And that was a very profound moment for me, and I'm sure for everybody in that room. And, you know, at Fort Benning at that time, for anybody who was serving in the military, you may remember that we didn't have gate guards. I mean, you could just drive on and off any military installation. And overnight, we had guards on every gate around the perimeter of the installation, and it took literally hours to get on and off if you happen to live off post. Overnight, we all started thinking differently about the safety of our borders and any public places. And I think, you know, for me personally, what I remember most was just standing there at night, and I lived in a small town in Alabama at the time outside of Fort Benning called Smiths, Alabama. I remember just looking up at the dark sky and wondering when and where the next attack was going to take place. Would it be a big military installation like Fort Benning, where terrorists could really feel like they were showing their prowess by attacking us, you know, where all of our most hardcore special forces were stationed? Would it be a small town in Alabama where I lived, so that they could just kind of show everyone that no one is safe? So today we remember those feelings. We remember, as everyone has said, the unity that came after, and certainly the lives that were lost on that day and since then through our countless first responders and military personnel who have supported our nation and our communities since. I do think it's especially fitting, and I'm so glad to know that, like those of us that work in human services for our military and first responders, that this community is supporting the first ever first responders memorial here in Highland Park. It will be a permanent tribute to the bravery, sacrifice, and resilience of those that put themselves in harm's way to protect others. Like many of you here, I have many family members who are first responders. My brother-in-law is a retired sheriff's deputy, and retirement didn't suit him too well, so he came back on the job, and now he also serves as a law enforcement officer for the Humane Society. I have a retired firefighter who is my first cousin, and I think, you know, like many of you, a family of service. So this is very near and dear to my heart. And I think just going to be absolutely beautiful tribute to the Rochester community. So with that, I want to thank you all again for being here as well.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.